Words of our Divine Mother from the book Rays of Light, which are the sayings extracted from the Mother's collected works of volume 14 and 15, page 32. To will what God wills, this is the topic. To will what God wills. Our Mother says, to will what God wills, that is the supreme secret. The Divine's will is that we should be like channels always open, always move wide so that His forces may pour their abundance into the mouth. Date 16th October 1954. Our Divine Mother says we must lie before the Divine, always like a page perfectly blank, so that the Divine's will may be inscribed in us without any difficulty or mixture. Date 20th November 1954. To do at each moment the best we can and leave the result to the Divine's decision is the surest way to peace, happiness, strength, progress, and final perfection. The only thing you have to do is to remain quiet, undisturbed, solely turned towards the Divine. The rest is in His hands. Date 18 July 1955. Our Divine Mother says, be quiet and offer yourself calmly and confidently. All that happens is always the effect of the Supreme's will. Human action can be the occasion but never the cause. Date 3rd August 1968. There is a supreme consciousness that governs the manifestation. His wisdom is certainly much greater than ours, so we need not bother about what will happen. The Lord is always victorious in His own way, not in the human way according to His own will, not according to the will of man. The Lord is always present, only we do not realize it. The Lord is always present, it's only we who do not realize it. Next topic, faith, confidence, certitude. Our Divine Mother says faith, confidence in the Divine and the unshakable certitude of the Divine's victory. Faith is a certitude which is not necessarily based on experience and knowledge. Faith is the surest guide in the darkest days. Date 16th August 1954. At every moment, all the unforeseen, the unexpected, the unknown is before us, and what happens to us depends mostly on the intensity and purity of our faith. Date 3rd November 1954. There is a great power, our Mother says, there is a great power in the simple confidence of a child. There is a great power in the simple confidence of a child. Dated 17th November 1954. The best way of meeting difficulties is a quiet and calm confidence in the grace. The best way of meeting your difficulties is to remain quiet and calm and have complete confidence in the grace of the Divine. 13th August 1966. Our Divine Mother says, with confidence we shall advance, with certitude we shall wait. Next topic, the Divine Grace. Our Divine Mother says, the Supreme has sent His grace into the world to save it. All the complications of the so-called human wisdom stands the luminous simplicity of the Divine's grace, ready to act if we allow it to do so. Above all the complications of the so-called human wisdom stands the luminous simplicity of the Divine's grace, ready to act if we allow it to do so. Date 21st Feb 1965. Our sweet Mother says, who is worthy or unworthy in front of the Divine grace? All are children of the one and the same Mother. Her love is equally spread over all of them, but to each one she gives according to his nature and receptivity. The grace is equally for all, but each one receives it according to his sincerity. It does not depend on outward circumstances, but on a sincere aspiration and openness. Let us give ourselves without reserve to the divine, so best shall we receive the divine grace. Faith in the divine grace. The grace and the help are always there for all who aspire for them, and their power is limitless when received with faith and confidence. At the very moment when everything seems to go from bad to worse, it is then that we must make a supreme act of faith and know that the grace will never fail us. At the very moment when everything seems to go from bad to worse, it is then that we must make a supreme act of faith and know that the grace will never fail us. Date 1st Jan 1947. At each moment of our life, says our Divine Mother, at each moment of our life, in all circumstances, the grace is there helping us to surmount all difficulties. Date 8th October 1954. Through this apparent chaos, a new and better order is being formed, but to see it, one must have the faith in the divine grace. So cheer up. Date 13th October 1956. Our Divine Mother says, it is when all seems lost that all can be saved. When you have lost confidence in your personal power, then you should have the faith in the divine grace. Date 28 Jan 1917. Our Divine Mother says, in the final analysis, everything really depends on the divine grace, and we should look at the future with confidence and serenity, progressing at the same time as quickly as we can. Next topic, trust in the divine grace. Our Divine Mother says, it is in proportion to our trust in the divine that the divine grace can act for us and help. Like the child who does not reason, has no care, trust thyself to the divine, that his will may be done. Date 7th September 1954. Our Mother says, nothing can be compared to the peace that comes from a total trust in the grace. Leave all care to the divine's grace. Leave all your care to the divine's grace, including your own progress, and you will be in peace. Date 5th May 1958. For one who has total trust in the divine, in his wisdom and mercy, there are no more problems. The next topic, the divine grace and difficulties. Our Divine Mother says, it is only by remaining perfectly peaceful and calm with an unshakable confidence and faith in the divine grace that you will allow circumstances to be as good as they can be. The very best happens also always to those who have put their entire trust in the divine and in the divine alone. The very best happens always to those who have put their entire trust in the divine and in the divine alone. Date 9th Feb 1913. Our Divine Mother says, there are two complementary aspects of the liberating action of the divine grace upon earth among men. These two aspects are equally indispensable but are not equally appreciated. The sovereign, immutable peace that liberates from anxiety, tension, and suffering, the dynamic, all-powerful progress that liberates from fetters, bondages, and inertia. The peace is universally appreciated and recognized as divine, but progress is welcomed only by those whose aspiration is intense and courageous. Date 24th April 1958. Our Divine Mother says, when in your life you meet with a hardship, take it as a grace from the Lord, and indeed it will become so. 1962. Our mother says, all depends on what you want. If you want yoga, take all that happens as an expression of the divine grace leading you towards your goal and try to understand the lessons that circumstances give you to learn. Date 23rd April 1964. People believe that the grace means making everything smooth for all your life. It is not true. People believe, says our Divine Mother, people believe that the grace means making everything smooth for all your life. It is not true. The grace works for the realization of your aspiration, and everything is arranged to gain the most prompt, the quickest realization. Date 26th May 1967. Of one thing we must be convinced: all that happens is exactly what must happen in order to lead us and the world as quickly as possible to the goal, the union with the divine, and the manifestation the manifestation of the divine. And this faith, sincere and constant, is at once our help and protection. These are the divine words of our Divine Mother. Thank you.